Yeah, okay, time to live free. Plenty goals I'm achieving. Some real life topics and talking financial freedom. Mindset, soul and love, everything in between. This is Freedom Podcast. Tune in, live free. Hey, got my mindset right and I got the drive. Planning one day, no more job, no more 9 to 5. Love money, mind. Love money, mind. This is freedom. Tune in, cause it's going down. Woo!
Hi, this is Anna and welcome to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. In this episode, I interview Leddy Glenn. Leddy is the owner of Fresh Thinking Special Education Advisors. Her goal is to help educate and empower kids, their parents and guardians, and find the professionals for their best future. She's really passionate about special education. I love her story and you're going to love this episode. So, Leddy, thank you ever so much for sparing the time really to come on the show and let me interview you. It's great to have you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for allowing me to do so.
So I've been really curious because I know I've read a little bit about you with the whole fresh thinking for kids, and it sounds really inspiring what you're doing. And I really wanted to kind of dig a little bit deeper and find out how this all really came about. You know, and I know that sometimes when I ask that question quite openly, it's like, wow, well, there's loads to tell you of how it all started.
Yeah, where should I start?
I have these three pillars that I focus on because of my sort of leaving abuse story that I share. There was three pillars that kind of gave me equilibrium in my life. The first was freedom in love, which is around self-care, self-love, and obviously looking out for ourselves and just the love that we give out into the world. Freedom in money, which is finances, and that was only purely because when you're broke, it's tough, you know, so it's stressful. And freedom in mind, which, to be honest, love, money, mind rings so nicely, but mindset is so bigger than that, isn't it? It's not just mind and that encompasses it all. I talk a lot about Fred in the head because I think Fred in the head can stop us moving forward. Sometimes it gets in the way. But I've spent a lot of time kind of working on my own mindset through the tough periods I went through. So those are kind of like my three pillars, but it's just really curious to find out how this all began with all the good stuff that you're doing.
So what I do is I help families, kids and parents navigate special education within their school districts. And to be honest, it started when I was in school. I was a kid who had special needs, and so that started in kindergarten for me. But at that time, and even up until about a year or so, it's not something I shared publicly. So here I go, I'm sharing. But it's not something I ever shared because it was always something that I felt would be viewed as less than, or another thing I have to hurdle to gain respect. So I just didn't. But now it's
like a weakness, don't we? Like,
yes.
And then when you do, you realize how empowering it is for the people when we do start sharing, you know.
Absolutely. The big one like that for me has been sharing my emotions, what's going on in my head, because I always viewed those as weaknesses as well. But man, it's healthy to share those and feels good. But I went to college for public relations marketing. And then I went to grad school right after for communication. And I was teaching in the women's studies department at 2 different universities. And then, I moved on from that and went to a rape crisis center. And I was a youth educator and a victim advocate for them. So I answered the crisis line calls, went to the hospitals, police stations, all of that. But I realized my absolute favorite part of that job was working with at-risk kids. And the most at-risk kids are special needs, special education kids. And I just had joy when I was working with them. And so I decided to go back to school and got my teaching certification and became a special education teacher. And then I got a master's in education as well and started teaching special ed. So my focus there was kids with behavior disorders, kids with trauma, kids in crisis, because that was my background and my comfort zone. But then I also moved into kids the autism classroom. So it's a self-contained program for kids with autism who do better in a smaller group setting, different curriculum, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I realized after talking to so many parents that they don't always feel included in the system. And that was something that was extremely important to me as a special education teacher, was that families knew that they were a part of the team and a valuable part of a team, because we all are, we see the kid in different settings. So somebody's in an education, they have an individual education plan. They have, in America, it's their special education teacher, a regular ed teacher, usually a principal or school counselor, parents, whoever the parents bring. So we all know this kid in a different setting. So great viewpoints and what's working for you, what's not working, that sort of thing. So it's important. So my child, he's currently a 6-year-old. When he was 2, started to exhibit behaviors. And so we ended up getting him evaluated, and he got an individualized education plan. So here I am now. I'm a parent of a kid with an IEP. So I've been at every seat at an IEP meeting as the student, the parent, and the person writing the documents. And we had an absolutely horrendous experience at his school, his preschool. And I just felt, if I was feeling this way of not being listened to, my child not being treated the way he should be treated, not being told accurate information, then what's happening to the parents who don't know the system as well as I knew the system?
Yeah, exactly.
So that was a big part of me starting this company. But also, I felt really betrayed by my career as a special education teacher, by the way that my son was being treated and the way that I was being treated. There's a better way. And so that's why I started this business, so I can help families so they can have their voice in the system and know what their voice is.
Yeah. No, that's really good. That's really good what you're doing. No, because I think it is I think it's, especially like you say, if you haven't got the knowledge, or most parents don't have that knowledge. And so the first step is knowing what, because you assume that you're getting all the support that you should be as well.
Right.
And so you were probably lucky enough to spot that actually you weren't getting that help,
Exactly. And I am fortunate enough that my child's very verbal and he's very aware of his emotions. And so he was able to tell me, and he's very truthful. He was able to tell me what was going on at school. So I was able to call them and address them. And so I was able to have that communication with my child and to know what's going on.
Yeah. So I know you also mentioned that you had, what were your challenges as a child?
I'm dyslexic.
Okay.
And so that has always been a challenge. But the important part that I had some fabulous teachers that taught me how to modify and advocate for myself. So what accommodations do I need to be successful at school and in my adult life? How do I do my calendar so I can, easily see it? How do I set things up so it's more organized for me? So that has been something that's been very, very helpful. But I mean, it's something that's always in the back of your mind, like, oh God, what if I say this wrong, or I can't pronounce the word, or something like that,
They've said that my son has got dyslexic tendencies.
He's heading in that direction.
But to be honest, I'm one of these that I kind of don't want him labelled with this. I don't. You know what I mean? I'm like, he's him.
Right. And when people ask me what's it like to be dyslexic, I'm like,
suddenly
I don't know. I don't know anything else. To me, this is what everything looks like. I don't know what the difference is.
So he struggles with things like English and maths, but he's got. I pay for extra support for him, but he's very creative. So I kind of feel like there is something there, and I keep thinking maybe I should really I just don't, he already feels like he's done. That's his thing, he always says, you know. But recently we look back at how much he'd improved on different things, and that was really encouraging for him. And all these other skill sets that he's got that, you know, around art and creativity and sports and all these different things, and music and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of like reluctant in some respects to kind of push this, to get this not diagnosed, you know, it is a diagnosis, isn't it? But
Yes.
I've thought, because he's improved so much on his English and maths, he's not where he should be.
Right.
But
that's another topic of where they should be.
It's funny, we always have these big discussions in our house, and he's always one that's really verbally gets involved in it and stuff. And because I have this thing, regardless of like education, there was a time where he was like, I just want to be a normal family because I'm a single parent. And I was like, what is normal? There is no normal. We had this massive big discussion about normal, because this is the thing in life, isn't it? And adults we get hooked up, like we were saying before about social media. We have all this thing of like, that's what society says we should be, you know, with everything. And actually it's being confident that we are enough on what we're doing and what we enjoy, and being happy and all these different things, that actually we had this whole discussion anyway. And I think he was sat there thinking afterwards, I could see his little face, because I was like, there is no normal. I got really worked on, there is no normal.
Right.
What is normal? There is no normal, you know.
Right. And let's look around at all the people who love you, because that's what's important.
Exactly. So yeah, I think society, we do it all the time, don't we? We get put in all these different boxes. There's so many different boxes. Not just education, just everything.
Everything. And that's the way that our brain works. Our brain puts things in categories and in boxes. So it's important to
this and that. I know.
Exactly. But to realize it, that's the ticket, is realizing what you're doing and opening up the box.
Yeah, exactly. So whereabouts are you based? Because I'm thinking about people who could be listening to this.
I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
And so you can educate me on this. In the US, is there different education systems across different states, or is it very similar?
There, yes and no, because that's
There's no box.
So I've been fortunate enough that I was a special education teacher in 2 different states, and there's some differences between the states. There's differences between how school districts can do things, but there is a large umbrella of what the federal law is for special education. So yes, there is that it's all across the board the same. However, it's all tweaked and done a little bit differently. Some wording might be a little bit differently. It might be posted somewhere else in the document. So yes and no.
I'm assuming though that you would be able to signpost people to what they needed in those individual, you know, it'd be like, right, this is the general theme, but actually you may want to check here to ensure that you get the accuracy for what's happening in your local area, whatever.
Yes.
So tell us then how you can help individual families with all your goodness that you do within your business. Basically, if someone was listening to this going, oh my God, you know, my child has had this, and I feel like I'm not moving forward with helping them, and I don't know what to do. I feel stuck, you know, in the
absolutely. And I can speak from experience on this. As the parent, you feel alone and you feel like, am I doing the right thing? What else could I be doing? So I play as a sounding board, as talk to me. How are you feeling? What's going on? I can help process those emotions, but I can also help to guide. Okay, have you thought about this? Or have you asked about this? Or do you want me to sit in on the meeting with the school district so I can ask questions? I can take notes. I can help explain what's going on.
Yeah.
So a big thing with me is working with not only the technical, but with my background as crisis intervention, I love the talking and the unpacking emotions and the thoughts, and helping people to realize that it's okay to feel the way that you're feeling. and you're not alone. So that's a big part, is helping, just emotional support walking through the process. But with so many other businesses, I've taken kind of a different spin with COVID going on. And I've been able, this is my second school year where I've led a learning pod group. So I have a group of kids that come to my location, and I help them with their virtual learning. So they're all enrolled within their school district, and I come and just help facilitate that learning. So whether it's helping with executive functioning, organization skills, or just, you know, like helping them get on their Zoom calls on time, or how to organize their homework, or what questions they might have, or how do I bridge the gap between their knowledge of what's going on and what do they have previous information about. So it's been wonderful for me because I get to do what I absolutely love, which is teaching and educating and working with youth. And I don't have to deal with the politics or all the paperwork. So it's been phenomenal on that end. And it's been really helpful. Not all of my kids are special education. I do have some typical neurotypical children working with me, but the ones who have a special need has been really helpful because I can talk with their school person who's in charge of all their paperwork, their IEP. I can talk with them and say, this is what I'm seeing, this is what would be helpful, or this is how they're progressing on the goal. I can sit in on the IEP meeting and say X, Y, and Z is going on when this is happening, you know? So it's kind of like I'm eyes and ears for the school district, even though I'm not affiliated with the school district, but I'm eyes and ears on that document of how it's helping that child.
In a way, it's like you're like an extra guardian, isn't it? To like help, like, you know, like to help them with having the understanding that maybe the parents haven't.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like that extra person that can navigate between.
Yes.
And also inform the parents and just really just help sort out a plan and kind of de-stress the whole thing, really.
Right. And there's a lot of parents that I'm working with who the kids prefer the virtual learning aspect because of anxiety or other things. But the parents don't want to be the one instituting the virtual learning. They don't want to be the one that's saying, okay, it's time to get onto this, because that's no fun. It's no fun to be the teacher and the and the parent. So that's where I come in and step in. So the parents still get to have their day, whatever they need to do, but the kid gets the benefit of a really small group individualized instruction.
That sounds really good. So is there anything that you do sort of like detecting if someone at the really early stages, like if someone is concerned about the child and nothing has been kind of highlighted as yet? Do you do anything of like support?
I do not have the credentials to do the diagnosis or the labeling of a student. However, I do tutoring with kids as well. And so I do work with kids that may be behind in a certain area. And I'm finding that
you might spot something, might you? Yeah. That maybe the parents fully hasn't or something.
Right. Or say, this is supports that you can do by yourself in the class to help you grasp material. Like you can set your notes up this way or something like that, or a different view of looking at how to solve a math problem or you name it. That's the joy about special ed. You know, a gamut, a large group of information. How do you rephrase something? How do you rework something?
So is there anything that you can share to people who maybe should, like you say, has a child with special needs, that they're kind of thinking actually you could be an ideal person to reach out with, but any sort of initial tips to give them at this stage before maybe they come obviously they can come and reach out to you, but what are the first steps to kind of help them really?
Well, it would be if they're school age. So in Missouri, it's age 3 is when the school district can start doing evaluations for special education. So reaching out to the school district, calling, it's usually the special education department, within that district, and asking them what are the steps of getting my child evaluated, talking with their medical professional, talking with the doctor. They can also help maybe navigate what it might be. Some things have to be medically diagnosed, other things are not, that the school can do. But if you're got this gut feeling that your child might need some extra support and extra help, just ask the kid, like, what's going on? How are you feeling? What would help you in school? Because in the United States, we have IEP special education, but we also have what's called as a 504 plan. And education is run through IDEA. It's federal. It's for people who need modifications of their learning. So maybe they answer test questions in a different way, or they get less questions on a test or something like that. Whereas 504 works with accommodations. So it's more of the student can do all the same grade level stuff, but they need some accommodations. Like maybe when they're starting to feel overwhelmed, they go to a trusted adult like the counselor, or so it's how to help them reach their goals, but they are on the same educational level, and it's funded different and all that. So I would say, honestly, talk to your kid, talk to the people that are around the kid. What are they seeing? Because again, we all act differently in different situations, and with different people, even adults, we do that. So talk to the people that are around the kid the most. And then, yes, I would say talk to the district first, and then also talk to the doctors.
Yeah. So if people want to reach, what's the best way to contact you? And
they can go to my website, which is freshThinkingForKids.com.
So we will put that link in the show notes. So everybody that's listening, that's thinking, oh my God, I need to get in touch with this lady, you can actually look in the show notes. If you're listening on iTunes, it'll be in there. If you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the comments section, and we'll put the website in there so people can go straight to there. Do you have your own YouTube channel or social stuff? Is there anything that you've got there that people can reach out?
They can find me on TikTok, on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook.
All the social.
Name it, and I'm trying to get out there.
Yeah, all of them, go check her out.
Yes.
So I always ask everybody on the show, what does freedom mean to you? So what does freedom mean to you, Leddy?
The ability to speak my truth and to be comfortable with my truth and saying it out loud. That's freedom.
Yeah, I love that. And in fact, literally 45 minutes ago, I did put a post on Facebook, so you can go and check it out. Go and add me as a friend and check it out. And I literally put walking in my truth. What did it say? It was walking in my truth. It was something about being unapologetically me. I can't remember the exact word. And I literally just posted that because it's so important to me as well. I think a lot of people hide it. Well, I've done it myself. It's like uncomfortable sometimes to be our real selves because we're worried about what people think about us. I saw a quote the other day that said, why are so many people bothered about what people think about them when actually most people don't even fully love themselves? And I thought, it's true, isn't it?
Yeah. Or why do we care what people are thinking? Because more than likely they're not thinking about us. That's just what we perceive.
It just goes back to that whole thread in the head thing where we just, and it stops us, that disables us moving forward, doesn't it? The thought of the fear of what people are going to, opinions that people have got on us. So yeah, I love that your answer to freedom,
and it's a growing, constantly evolving thing. Constantly.
Because we don't grow overnight. You don't suddenly become who you really want to be overnight. It's a gradual journey, isn't it?
And who you want to be changes as well as your priorities in life change. I would say I would not, even 4 years ago, would not have seen myself as a business owner helping families walk through the system in this fashion, because I was at a special education teacher and loved it. So my view of the world has totally changed as a parent of somebody who has special needs. We are constantly growing, and then being able to say, yeah, I am too. And it's okay. I am too. I struggle, and that's okay, because we all have a struggle inside of us. We are not alone. We may feel alone.
The first step, though, isn't it? Actually acknowledging it, I think. Acknowledging that actually I'm struggling with this or I need help with this. You know, when I think about my old self, it was like, I was always like, it's a weakness to like ask for help. It's just so silly. But once you kind of acknowledge it within yourself and start doing something about it, then, you know, your whole happiness and just the anxiety of it all just changes, doesn't it? So, and
it's a great strength to be able to ask for help.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, some days are easier than others to ask for help or to acknowledge and to speak the truth. Some days are easier than others. But if you're always making those steps forward, that's what's important.
But it's funny because I had, well, it's not particularly funny, but it's weird.
Oh yeah.
I have like talk therapy. I don't know if you call it talk therapy in the US, like counselling.
Yep.
In fact, we laugh over here in the UK because we think that everybody in the States has a therapist, you know. But we're prudish, aren't we, the Brits? So it's like, oh my God. But I had a talk therapy for 2 years, and I actually interviewed my therapist on the podcast. And we were talking about how, isn't it funny how when people want to get fit, they show off about having a personal trainer. You know what I mean? They're like, hey, you know, I've got a personal trainer. Or if, you know, maybe you've got a coach in your business, you're like, yeah, my coach, my mentor. And we show off about these things. But then like anything to do with mental health or something that we kind of consider, it's seen as like a weakness, isn't it? When actually, because she was explaining that she has a therapist because she wants to grow, not because she thinks she's got any particular issue. It's just that she wants to get everything out and be growing and all that. And I hadn't seen it like that. And I thought, wow, yeah, it's so silly, the things we put in our mind.
Absolutely. And I like to think about getting therapy and seeing a counselor as something that you can go back and forth. You need it, you might not need it at a different phase in your life. It's like getting your car tuned up. You know, you take your car into the shop to get tuned up, check things out. It's okay. That's what we should be doing with our mental health as well.
Exactly. Brilliant. I feel like I could be speaking to you for another hour. So it's always great when I meet people that I feel like I've got this synergy with. So it's great to have you on our show. And yeah, stay in touch. I'm sure if anything you need my help in, just give me a holler. But great to have you on the show, and thank you ever so much for your time.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Brilliant. Thanks. Thanks for listening to another episode of Your Freedom Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes and subscribe on my YouTube channel. And if you want to get more freedom in your life, then come and join Your Freedom Project Facebook group, which the link is below in the comments section. And I am giving you a copy of my visualization manifesting book. So manifest more freedom in your life and live the life of your dreams.
Hey, thank you for listening. Hope you had a blast. Here to elevate your life. It's the Freedom Podcast. Love, money, mind. Love, money, mind. Wanna see you all win. Wanna see you all shine. Just make sure that you subscribe. Bringing good vibes. Join the Facebook group. Now it's time to change your life. Hope you come back. Right now is the chance. This is an experience. It's the Freedom Podcast. Hey.